A sweltering courtroom hums as a gruff voice lashes out. A fine slapped on a poised figure who slipped in late. His scorn, a dark echo. She's a shadow of justice. Her calm, a mask for a brewing storm. With whispered law, she strikes back, unveiling hidden bias in a clash, shrouded in heat. What secrets fuel her fight? Unravel this enigma, where quiet resolve tangles with aged power. A penalty births a tempest, and a humid dawn whispers of truths yet to unfold. The air inside the cramped oak-paneled courtroom, on the third floor of the Richmond Circuit Court, in Richmond, Virginia, hung heavy with the mingled scents of polished wood and the faint musk of perspiration under a humid August morning, its oppressive stillness pierced by the relentless tick of an old brass clock mounted above the bench, its hands creeping toward 9:12 a.m. The room, a modest rectangle with scuffed beige walls and a single tall window, streaked with dust, sat nestled in the heart of the historic courthouse, its benches creaking under the weight of onlookers, locals in faded jeans and retirees, clutching worn paperback novels, its atmosphere thick with the weight of a southern summer, the kind that pressed down on the chest and sharpened every sound, the creak of a chair, the rustle of papers, the distant hum of traffic seeping through the glass from the cobblestone streets beyond. The morning was sweltering, a punishing 87 degrees by 9:00 a.m. The sky outside a pale, hazy blue, streaked with the promise of thunderstorms, the air thick with humidity that clung to the skin like a second layer, a Richmond dawn in full, unrelenting bloom. Representative Maya Ellis, 42, a former public defender, with a steady gaze forged by a decade, defending the indigent in Virginia's courts, and a quiet brilliance honed at Howard Law School, stepped into the courtroom at 9:12 a.m. 12 minutes late to a minor traffic hearing for a contested parking ticket, a favor for a constituent, a small errand in a day packed with Capitol Hill briefings an hour's drive away. Her dark hair was swept into a sleek ponytail, strands pinned tight against the sweat beating at her temples, her steady brown eyes scanning the room with a quiet alertness. Her navy blazer crisp despite the heat, her hands steady on a slim leather satchel slung over her shoulder, its contents legal pads. A phone buzzing with D.C. alerts, a worn copy of the Constitution, her tools of survival since leaving the courtroom for Congress 3 years prior. She'd risen from Richmond's public defense trenches to the House of Representatives, her life a steady rhythm of advocacy and reform since her election, her presence commanding, yet unassuming until it wasn't. Judge Walter Grayson, 3, a white man with a gruff voice and a reputation for aggressive courtroom control, presided from the bench, his thinning gray hair combed flat with Brill cream that gleamed under the fluorescent lights, his blue eyes glinting with irritation beneath bushy brows, his broad frame hunched slightly beneath a crisp black robe, his breath sharp with the faint tang of the peppermint he'd popped at 8:45 a.m. to mask the black coffee fueling a sleepless night, reviewing dockets. He'd climbed the judicial ladder through 40 years of small-town rulings, first as a prosecutor in Chesterfield, then a judge in Richmond, his confidence a mask forged in a courtroom where order was his gospel, and tardiness a personal affront, his mind a tangle of fatigue and a rigid itch to assert dominance. He'd noticed Maya's late entry as she slipped through the double doors, her heels clicking softly on the marble, his sharp voice cutting through the humid hush at 9:12 a.m. "Some counselor 12 minutes late to my court? That's $500 for contempt. Punctuality's not optional here." Maya turned her steady, brown eyes meeting his, her voice calm, measured. "Your Honor, I'm Representative Ellis. Traffic delayed me. I'd ask for leniency." Grayson's grin tightened his tone, barking, "Representative or not, rules apply. $500 payable now, or explain yourself quick." What unfolded was swift and startling. Maya paused, her steady gaze unwavering, then stepped forward, her voice low. "I'll pay under protest and appeal. This is bias, not justice, Your Honor." Grayson's blue eyes flashed his gavel, striking the bench with a sharp crack. $500 due by week's end. Sit down or leave, you're done here. Next time, catch a train. The fine landed like a stone in the room, the gallery murmuring, locals shifting a clerk, scribbling the clock's tick, underscoring the tension. Maya, stepping back, her steady hands clutching her satchel, her voice a whisper to herself. "This isn't over." Grayson saw defiance, a breach of his sacred order. Maya saw abuse, a spark to her legal mind, and her duty, honed by years defending the powerless in rooms like this. She filed a formal appeal that afternoon at the courthouse clerk's window, August 15th. Her steady hands trembling faintly as she signed her blazer, swapped for a fresh one from her office, her voice firm. "This is about fairness, court. Bias can't stand." Their clash ignited a storm over power and truth. Richmond's humid dawn pressing down like a judge's scrutiny, waiting to fall the city's cobblestone streets, a quiet witness to her resolve. The Richmond Circuit Court buzzed on a sultry September afternoon, its marble halls reverberating with the echo of footsteps that bounced off the polished floors, like a steady drumbeat threading through the thick, muggy air, the scent of polished oak blending with the faint musk of old files stacked in dusty corners, their edges yellowed and curling from years of handling, and the damp heat that seeped through the walls after August's relentless rains, and the sharp tang of coffee wafting from paper cups clutched by restless hands, its bitter aroma drifting through the space like a ghost of hurried mornings. The courtroom, perched on the fourth floor, was a grand chamber, with oak benches worn smooth by decades of Richmond's disputes, divorce battles, settled with terse nods or bitter glares that hung heavy in the air. Petty theft cases hashed out in clipped exchanges of blame and defense that left the room taut with unresolved tension. Civil suits ending in reluctant handshakes or hollow apologies that faded into the low hum of whispered conversations. Its walls were lined with faded portraits of stern-faced judges, their edges curling under the weight of time, and the humid air that slipped through the high windows, their glass streaked with the faint haze of an overcast afternoon, offering fleeting glimpses of Richmond's skyline beyond its red brick buildings, and the distant, shimmering ribbon of the James River glowing faintly under a pale, stormy sky. At the front, behind a raised bench, scarred with nicks and pen marks that traced decades of rulings and late-night deliberations over yellowed files, sat Judge Walter Grayson. His thinning gray hair combed flat with brill cream that caught the fluorescent light, accentuating the sharp lines of his weathered face, etched by years of courtroom battles. And Virginia Summers, his blue eyes sharp with a quiet intensity that sliced through the room's stillness like a hawk spotting prey across the James's muddy expanse, seeing through bluster and bravado to the raw truth beneath a gaze that missed nothing and weighed everything with unflinching precision. His robe hung crisp over a firm frame, tempered by years of discipline, broad shoulders from his days as a high school football coach in Chesterfield before law school, his voice steady with authority as it once barked plays across sweaty fields. Hands steady from wielding gavels and pens, their knuckles faintly knotted from gripping justice with a clarity that left no room for evasion. His voice, a firm, steady drawl, honed by 40 years on the bench carrying a steel, forged through countless courtroom tangles, as he called the hearing, his tone cutting through the muggy air, like a whip cracking over a silent plain. Ellis versus Fine appeal hearing on the contempt charge, $500. Let's hear it, folks, and keep it tight. I want facts, not excuses. We're here for evidence, not speeches. My docket's stacked, and this heat's not waiting for dawdling, so let's move. Maya stood at the plaintiff's table, flanked by her counsel, Tom Ellis, a wiry attorney with a rumpled suit that hung loose on his slight frame. His sharp brown eyes darting between his client and the bench, a quick pen dancing across his notepad as he tracked every word. Evidence meticulously stacked before them. A slim folder of legal citations, court records, witness affidavits, a transcript of the August 15th hearing, her steady brown eyes glinting with resolve, her dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail, her navy blazer crisp despite the heat. Her hands steady on her folder, despite the tremor of anticipation beneath her calm. A fire stoked by weeks of reliving that fine. The judge's sharp bark, the gavel's crack. The weight of her dignity challenged in a room she'd once mastered as a defender. She'd left public defense 3 years prior for Congress. Her life, a quiet rhythm of reform and advocacy since her election, her presence commanding yet tempered until it roared. Walter Grayson sat high at the bench, his counsel absent. This was a hearing, not a trial, his authority the sole arbiter, his rulings firm, his papers sparse. Just the original contempt citation and a thin docket sheet. His sharp grin, steady but brittle, as he adjusted his robe, a faint sheen of sweat beading on his forehead. Despite the fan's hum, his blue eyes hard with defiance, his broad frame tense beneath the crisp fabric, his breath, even as he braced for the challenge, the faint whiff of peppermint, lingering from a candy he'd popped at 2:00 p.m. to mask the coffee fueling his long day, his lawyer's absence, a testament to his confidence in his own courtroom dominion. He'd built his career on order 40 years of rulings in Richmond, a judge's gavel earned through grit, and a knack for enforcing decorum, often with an iron hand. His pride, a mask forged in a judicial world where control was his gospel, and tardiness, a personal slight, a world now trembling beneath him as Maya stepped forward. Grayson leaned forward, his elbows resting firmly on the bench, his blue eyes scanning Maya's filings with a predator's focus. Maya's typed appeal, brief, its pages crisp with dates, legal citations, and a detailed recounting of the August 15th incident, laid out in stark black ink, her legal expertise shining through every line. Grayson's contempt citation, a single sheet, claiming tardiness, disruption, fined $500, his pen tapping a slow, deliberate rhythm against his notepad. Each tap a signal. He was sifting through their mess with a judge's stern eye, his voice cutting through the gallery's hum like a foghorn over the river. Rules are the line here, folks. Every time I see it in this room, a fine's weight caught in the balance, evidence bends it. Prove your case. I want facts, not feelings, specifics, not guesses. Let's cut to it. Who's right? Who's wrong? I need clarity, not chaos today. No tears. No tantrums. Just the truth. You're up, Ms. Ellis. His drawl carried a firm, unyielding authority, his gaze locking onto Maya like a spotlight, probing for cracks, weighing her claims with a steadiness that brooked no evasion. His hands, steady on the bench as he flipped through Maya's brief court records. Bias claims, a recounting of the incident, then his citation, a slim sheet that seemed to shrink under his scrutiny, his lips thinning slightly as he read the date, his blue eyes narrowing with a flicker of skepticism. Woman claims bias. Judge claims. Order a latecomer's dignity caught in the middle. I need proof, not please. Let's hear it. The gallery buzzed whispers, swelling like a rising tide. Retirees, like Ed Grayson, a grizzled mechanic with a thermos of black coffee, muttering to his wife. Clara, a retired seamstress with a notepad clutched tight. Judge fined her for 12 minutes, gonna get schooled. She's got the law. Young workers like Tara Mills, a cashier with a faded apron stuffed in her bag, whispering to her friend Lena Ortiz, a barista with tired eyes and a nervous fidget. She's got him bias's gold, he's toast. Grayson's courthouse, regular, Sam Carter, lanky, with a faded cap pulled low, nudging his pal Luke. Ramsey, a mechanic with a thick beard and a skeptical grunt. She's pushing it. Grayson's solid rules are rules. Their voices a low hum of anticipation, a chorus threading through the tension, their bets and murmurs, a backdrop to the courtroom's simmering storm, a pulse matching the muggy air, and the light's steady glow overhead, a rhythm that quickened as Maya stepped forward. Her steady, brown eyes locking onto Grayson, her resolve a steel thread woven through her calm. Maya's jaw tightened, her fingers clenching her folder until the edges creased, her breath steadying as she stood, her heels silent on the marble, the weight of her expertise and duty anchoring her stance. Grayson's hands steadied, his blue eyes flickering with defiance, his broad frame shifting slightly as he watched his sharp grin faltering for a heartbeat. Grayson's words, a gauntlet thrown, their clash, now, a courtroom battlefield under his stern and unyielding gaze. Richmond's humid dawn, a faint shimmer beyond the tall windows, its river dulled by haze. The city's quiet sprawl, a brooding witness to their unraveling truth. Maya took the stand first, climbing the steps with a steady grace, that echoed softly off the marble floor, her navy blazer crisp despite the heat. Its fabric pressed with the meticulous care of a woman who'd spent a decade as a public defender crafting arguments for the powerless. Her voice calm, yet edged with a quiet fury that simmered beneath her poised demeanor. A fire, stoked by weeks of reliving that fine. The judge's sharp bark, the gavel's crack, the weight of her dignity challenged in a room she'd once mastered. She swore her hand firm on the Bible, its leather creased and soft from years of oaths, a weight grounding her resolve. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. She sat, hands resting on the rail fingers, tracing its worn grain as she adjusted the microphone with a faint squeak, her steady, brown eyes locking onto Grayson, with a resolve tempered by years dissecting legal texts and advocating for reform, her dark ponytail swaying slightly as she leaned in, her breath steadying against the courtroom's muggy air, her voice threading through the stillness like a thread of steel. I was fined for being 12 minutes late on August 15th, 9:12 a.m. Unfair, rooted in bias. I'm Representative Maya Ellis, former public defender, and I've got the law to prove this court's overreach. She slid her evidence across the stand with a deliberate motion. A slim folder of legal citations, court records, witness affidavits, a transcript of the August 15th hearing, her voice steady, carrying across the room with a weight that filled the silence, a legal expert's precision cutting through the haze. 9:12 a.m. August 15th. This courtroom, I arrived late to a traffic hearing, a parking ticket case delayed by a wreck on I-95. Judge Grayson fined me $500 for contempt, said punctuality's not optional. Mocked me as counselor. Transcript shows it, docket confirms it. Court rules allow discretion, but Virginia Code Section 18.2.456 requires cause. 12 minutes isn't disruption, it's bias. My record 10 years defending 3 in Congress shows no pattern of tardiness. This was personal, not procedural. Her words landed like a quiet thunderclap, rippling through the gallery, her steady brown eyes unwavering, a calm storm beneath her poise. Grayson leaned forward, his blue eyes sharp and unyielding, his pen poised over his notepad, its nib catching the light as he tapped it once. A signal he was slicing into the marrow of Maya's argument, his voice cutting dry through the muggy air like a whip. Evidence clear, exact. What's it, showtime action? Prove it to me, not just your say-so. I need the disruption, not your story. Maya's hands steadied her voice, firm, her steady brown eyes glinting with a fire that burned beneath her calm, as she slid the transcript forward, her fingers steady despite the tremor of indignation. Here, transcript August 15th, 9:12 a.m. You say, 12 minutes late, $500 for contempt. No disruption noted, just my entry. Court record case moved fine. No delay beyond your fine. Virginia Code 18.2.456, contempt needs intent or chaos. I had neither, just traffic. No witness says, I disrupted, just you. Bias, prove it true. How's it show prejudice, not just your word? Show me the slant, not my strictness. Transcript counselor, in a mocking tone, not my title. Representative Ellis, you knew me, find me harder. Affidavit clerk, August 20th. He smirked, find her fast, pattern of bias, not rules. My record's clean, your call's personal. Her voice rose slightly, a tremor of conviction breaking through her calm, her steady, brown eyes glinting with a flicker of defiance beneath the resolve, her hands trembling faintly as she pointed to the transcript, the weight of her duty and law spilling into her words. Fine cost specifics, why is it wrong? Show me the harm, not just a claim. $500, unlawful penalty chilled my rights, brief cites. Body v. Connecticut, 1971. Due process protects access, not punishment for circumstance. 12 minutes isn't contempt, it's life. Harms my dignity, my trust, public shame. Mocked as a lawmaker in a court, I served unjust under law. Her voice steadied again, her hands unclenching slightly, her steady, brown eyes meeting Grayson's, sharp scrutiny. Her resolve a steel thread, beneath her calm, the courtroom, holding its breath, as she laid bare the stakes. Grayson scribbled, his voice dry as the Richmond dust, outside his drawl, measured but piercing. Records are steel, your take's bold, my turn. I need my side facts, don't lie, people twist. Go on. Grayson rose from the bench, his ascent deliberate, each movement thudding against the silence like a gavel's echo, his pressed robe tense over his broad frame, his sharp grin, a brittle mask, steady, but edged with defiance as he spoke, his voice carrying a weight of conviction, though a faint crack betrayed his strain. She defied me. August 15th, 9:12 a.m. Tardiness was a disturbance. Courtroom rules say no delays. I fined her $500 for contempt. She strolled in late. No excuse disrupted my court. Rules hold no exceptions. No titles, just order. He slid his thin papers across contempt citation. A single docket entry, his voice sharp, cutting through the muggy air like a blade on wood. 9:12 a.m. August 15th traffic case. She strolls in. 12 minutes late, I say, $500 for contempt. She talks back, defiance plain and simple. Courtroom's mine rules say no tardiness, she broke 'em. Fines lawful, contempt's my call she pays. Grayson's gaze sharpened his pen, tapping once, his voice slicing through. Disruption exact when where prove it delayed. Show me facts, not words. Grayson's hands steadied, his voice firm, his blue eyes glinting with a fire that burned beneath his defiance. 9:12 a.m., August 15th, here. She walks in, case stalls. I pause. 9:12:05 a.m. I find her room shifts, disrupts my flow, my court. No delay, I'd let it slide. Rules say punctuality, she defied. Proof, prove it disturbed. How's it show chaos, not just your hunch? Show me the harm, not your rule. No proof needed, my court. My call citation says disruption. That's fact. She walked in late, broke rhythm orders. Proof, she messed it up. His voice wavered, his hands clenching the citation, his blue eyes flickering with a shadow of doubt beneath the defiance, the gallery leaning forward as his words faltered. Fine, why 500? What did she do? Prove contempt, not control. Show me, 'cause not your caprice. 9:12:05 a.m. strolled in late. No excuse, contempt's clear rules, say fine. 500 standard defiance costs she pays, keeps order. His voice steadied, his hands unclenching slightly, his blue eyes pleading beneath the strain, a man clinging to his version of the day. Grayson scribbled, his voice sharp, his blue eyes narrowing like a blade honing its edge. Rules bend evidence. Talks witnesses next. I need steel, not smoke. Go on. The courtroom crackled as witnesses took the stand, their voices threading through the muggy air, like live wires sparking in the heat, each testimony a jolt that fueled the mounting tension. The court clerk, Sarah Jones, a wiry woman with a steady gaze and calloused hands, from years behind the desk, testified. First climbing the stand with a calm step that belied the weight of her words, her voice steady, her brown eyes clear and unflinching. August 15th, 9:12 a.m. This courtroom, I saw her step in, calm, late from traffic, no fuss. Grayson said, $500 for contempt, smirked. She didn't fight, just stood there. No disturbance, just him, acting fast. Grayson leaned in, his blue eyes, piercing. Exact time, what did you see? How'd she act? Prove it, not guess. Show me her calm, not my claim. Sarah's hands rested steady on the rail, her voice firm. 9:12 a.m., August 15, desk, 10 feet away. She's calm, no rush, says traffic. 9:12:05 a.m. Grayson finds her, smirks. No noise, no chaos. I saw it clear. She didn't disrupt. Her words landed like a quiet hammer, the gallery shifting whispers, swelling as she stepped down. The bailiff, Tim Lyle, followed his ascent, slower boots scuffing the marble with a reluctant thud. His lanky frame hunched slightly under his uniform shirt, his quiet smirk fading as he swore, his hand heavy on the Bible. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. He sat, hands gripping the rail, fingers twitching as he adjusted the microphone, his blue eyes locking onto Grayson with defiance and a flicker of unease that danced beneath his lean frame. his voice gruff but steady, cutting through the air like a low growl. She delayed August 15th, 9:12 a.m., walked in late, stalled the room. Grayson find her disrupted order hostile, not calm. I saw it from the door 10 feet back. He slid his thin papers across bailiff log, a scribbled note, his voice carrying a weight of certainty, though a faint crack betrayed his strain. 9:12 a.m., August 15th. Door 10 feet back. Grayson says $500. She talks back late, pulls focus room stalls 9:12. 05 a.m. He finds her. She caused it. Grayson's gaze sharpened his pen, tapping once, his voice slicing through. Disruption. Exact when, where, prove it stalled. Show me facts, not words. Lyle's hands steadied, his voice firm, his blue eyes glinting with a flicker of defiance. 9:12 a.m., August 15th. Door. She walks in. Grayson pauses, looks 9. 12:05 a.m. She talks room shifts. It's off. She did it. Prove it. Disturbed. How's it show chaos? Not just his hunch. Show me the harm, not your take. No, chaos. Just off. Log says disruption noted. Grayson stopped. Case stalled. Room felt it. I saw it. No calm. Just pushback. His voice wavered. His hands clenching the log, his blue eyes flickering with a shadow of doubt. Beneath the defiance, the gallery holding its breath as his words stumbled. Actions? Why note it? What did she do? Prove contempt, not just his call. Show me, 'cause not your echo. 9:12:05 a.m. Walked in late, talked backlog, says disruption. She broke rules, pulled focus contempts clear. I wrote it. His voice steadied, his hands unclenching slightly. His blue eyes pleading beneath the strain, a man grasping at his version of the day. Evidence clashed like thunderheads, colliding Maya's. Brief cited Virginia Code, Section 18.2, 456 Body v. Connecticut, 1971, and NABO-ACP Vol. Button, 1963. Photocopies crisp, with highlighted passages on due process and judicial fairness. Her handwritten recounting of August 15th, 9:12 a.m., detailing Grayson's fine and mockery clear as the humid light outside. Her affidavit from Sarah. He smirked, find her fast, no chaos, stood firm. Grayson's contempt citation, tardiness disruption, fined $500, paled, beside her legal arsenal, a flimsy note against a tidal wave of precedent. Lyle's log, 9:12 a.m., disruption noted, echoed Grayson, but lacked specifics, a thin reed bending under scrutiny. Grayson probed, his voice sharp as a blade, his blue eyes blazing like a storm breaking over the river. Delay or defiance brief, shows law, why fine? Prove it to me, Judge Grayson, order or bias. What's it say? Grayson's jaw tightened, his voice, sharp defiance flaring. Defiance. She strolled in late, stalled, my court. No law trumps my rules, tardiness disrupts. She broke 'em, fines right, she pays. His hands clenched the citation, his blue eyes flickering with a mix of certainty and creeping doubt, the gallery gasping as his words clashed with Maya's quiet steel. Grayson's gaze narrowed, his pen slashing the page. Law's fact, your defiance, Ben's next witness. I need steel, not smoke. The air thickened as the next witness was called. Maya's aide, Clara Evans, a plump woman with a steady gaze and a soft Virginia drawl, climbed the stand, her testimony a quiet counterpoint. August 15th, 9:12 a.m., sat in the back, saw her step in calm, late from traffic, no fuss, no noise. Just Grayson stopped, said $500, smirked. No chaos, just him. Grayson cut in. Exact when, where, prove it, not echo. What did you see? Clara's hands rested steady, her voice firm. 9:12 a.m. Backbench 20 feet away, she's calm, says traffic. Grayson pauses, finds her. No disruption, just him noticing. Grayson's voice sharpened. Disturbance, explain it, why none? Why lie? Clara's gaze held. No lie, quiet, no stall. She didn't bother anyone, just Grayson saw it. The gallery murmured tension, coiling tighter, as Clara stepped down. A week of unrelenting heat testimony piled, like cordwood on a blazing fire. Voices rose, like thunder, rolling over the James River papers, shuffled into towering stacks, their edges curling in the muggy air, ink smudged from anxious hands. The courtroom a crucible, simmering with sweat and strain, its air thick with the weight of words, and the gallery's murmurs swelling like a storm breaking over the city's red brick sprawl. Grayson recessed daily, retreating to his chambers, a stark nook, with a scratched desk cluttered with files, and a half-read novel, its pages yellowed from years on the shelf. A window framing Richmond's skyline, hazy through a streaked pane, the city's brick buildings and river dulled by afternoon haze. His coffee cooling untouched beside a stack of Virginia statutes and a worn legal pad, its pages scrawled with notes, date citations, his boots tapping a relentless rhythm against the hardwood as he paced his mind, sifting through the tangle with a judge's stern precision, weighing every word, every glance, every scrap of evidence against the emotional currents swirling beneath like the river's hidden depths, its flow steady but unseen, its silt muddying the truth. He returned on Monday, September 25th, his robe rustling as he climbed the bench, his voice firm, cutting through the room's hum like a blade through silence, his blue eyes sweeping the gallery, then settling on Maya with a weight that pinned her like stones under a river's relentless current. His presence, a stern anchor in the storm, his drawl sharp and unyielding. Proof clears or finds void. Bias exposed August 15th, 9:12 a.m. Contempt charge overturned. He leaned forward, his pen tapping once. A single resounding strike, his voice rising, his blue eyes blazing like a storm breaking over the river. His words a thunderclap that silenced the room. Evidence don't lie, Ms. Ellis, I did. Transcript August 15th, 9:12 a.m. She's calm late from traffic, no chaos. Citation says disruption, no proof. No witness says. It stalled, just me. Virginia Code 18.2 to 456 contempt needs cause. 12 minutes, isn't it? Clerk saw no fuss, aide saw quiet fine, unlawful bias, not order. $500 void truths out, and it's humbling. Maya stood tall, her steady brown eyes softening, a flicker of triumph washing over her, like a wave breaking on shore, her hands unclenching on her folder. A weight lifting from her shoulders, though the echo of that fine lingered, a shadow of justice reclaimed her expertise and dignity, affirmed the courtroom's gasp, a chorus of awe as she stepped back. Her mission not just to win, but to expose a quiet strength now a beacon. Grayson flushed, his blue eyes dimming, his broad frame slumping, as if the air had been sucked from his lungs, his hands clenching his citation, until the paper crumpled, a faint tear slicing the silence. Fault laid bare pride. A shadow unmasked a truth he couldn't shrug off, a burden now etched into his bones, his sharp grin dissolving into a grimace, as the gallery's murmurs swelled around him like a tide, his authority humbled by a latecomer's quiet power. The gallery erupted in hushed awe, Ed muttering, "She's got him, law's king, he's schooled." Clara nodding. "Fair's fair." She outsmarted him. Tara whispering, "Told you bias wins, she's a genius." Lena grinning, "She's fierce legal queen." Sam shaking his head. "He saw defiance, honest call." Luke silent, his jaw tight. Grayson's gavel fell, a crisp thud, wood meeting wood, echoing like a vault slamming shut, silencing the storm. Fine void, case closed, facts clear. Ms. Ellis prevails. Next. Outside, Richmond shimmered under a dusk streaked with amber and violet, the air cooling as the sun dipped below the horizon, its golden light glinting off the James River's gentle ripples, casting a fleeting glow over the city's red brick skyline. Maya drove off in her Camry, its silver finish catching the last rays, her steady brown eyes glinting with relief and a quiet triumph, her hands steady on the wheel as she navigated the streets toward her townhouse in Churchill. The hum of the engine, a soft melody beside her, a future brighter yet still tender. Her mind drifting to the fallout she'd unleashed, national headlines buzzing. Congresswoman exposes judge bias, protests swelling in the streets. A judicial review launched her quiet strength, the spark that lit a fire of scrutiny on Richmond's courts. She'd rallied legal experts, collected testimony, and pushed the CAFE Act through Congress, court accountability and fair practices, community oversight, now law. Pause after the storm. Yet a question lingered in the stillness. Would justice take root in Richmond's soil? Or would Grayson's shadow stretch further, clawing back from the light she'd cast? Walter Grayson faded into the courthouse lot, his sedan parked, crooked, against a live oak, its white finish dulled by dusk, his blue eyes hard with a flicker of disbelief, his broad frame slumped against the door, his hands gripping his keys with a force that whitened his knuckles tension, unspent, a storm brewing beneath his silence, his sharp voice muttering to the wind. She defied, I saw it, damn law's wrong. A shadow of doubt he couldn't shake clung to him a fault. He couldn't shrug off a burden now etched into his stride as he climbed in and drove west toward his home in Henrico, his taillights fading into the humid golden glow, a judge's pride shattered by a fine's cost, a question trailing behind him like exhaust fumes in the night air. Could he reclaim authority from a moment's overreach, or would the review swallow him whole, a casualty of the equity he'd failed to see? He'd been suspended after the hearing, then removed after an audit revealed decades of unfair rulings. Yet his echo lingered. Grayson drove home to his modest ranch on the city's edge, its cedar siding catching the last golden rays. Before dusk swallowed them, the James River, a shimmering silhouette against the sky, its edges blurring into shadow, the live oaks along its banks, whispering in the breeze, his sedan rumbling over asphalt, its tires humming a steady tune as he pondered. Would reform bloom between a lawmaker and a city bound by a fine's violent turn? Would equity's weight soften or drift further into the dusk like a lesson half learned, a bond unhealed? The horizon stretched Virginia's fields whispering, under a sky deepening to indigo, the river glinting faintly, a mirror to his thoughts. What heals a scar carved by pride? What waits in the humid golden glow for a woman with resolve and a judge with shame? What lessons linger in the warm air for a fine that broke trust but not her spirit? A question hung open and vast shimmering in Richmond's quiet night, a truth unresolved, a story trailing into the dusk, its next chapter, waiting beyond the courtroom, beyond the river, beyond the glow that settled over the city, like a promise yet to unfold, a whisper of what might rise from the ashes of a humid dawn's reckoning. Thank you all for watching this video. Please comment and let me know what you think about this story. Please like and subscribe to watch more great content on my channel.